similar or no, it is not. So as we take a look at number 2 up here, some of you are saying, yes, it is. Some of you are saying, no, it's not. The marking of the 65, that tells us that these two angles are exactly the same, right? And you're trying to see triangle B to C to D and A to C to E. Is there anything else that we can notice in those triangles? Because in order to prove that they're similar, and this is that 18 worksheet, you must show to say, if you're going to say they're similar, and it says explain step by step how you know. So this one, if you have all this written down, you've just gotten 3 points, right? Because we went through this in class last week on Thursday. We said they're not similar because there's one pair. If you're going to say these are similar, and you say yes, your reason is going to be because there are 2 angles that are congruent. Now, you have to specifically tell me what 2 angles are congruent. So you might say, oh, these 2, angle B and angle E, both have 65 degrees. You need to give me another reason why they're similar, and you need to be very specific, okay? So when you and your partner are working today, that's the first thing. You want to finish number 2. On the back, I told you that there are 4 that are in the similar. There's 2 that are in the not similar. When I showed on the card, and you say they're similar, the reason is because 2 angles are congruent. So on the top of card A someplace, you should have said yes. Why? Because 2 angles are congruent. The next thing is someone said, okay, if this is 55, how do I know this angle here is 55? And my information is because of these 2 markings right here. That tells us it's an isosceles triangle. And if it's an isosceles triangle, this angle here of 55 must be the same as this angle. So my reason on the paper, right on that card A, you should be writing, this is 55 because it's isosceles. So I'm going to take a look at each card to see, each card is going to be worth like 4 points, okay? So I'm looking at this one, and this is 55 because it's isosceles. Why is this angle up here 55? Why does this one have to be 55?
Because it's alternate something.
Alternate interior. So in between our 2 parallel lines. So I'm going to say that angle QP, is that R? Angle Q to P to R is congruent to angle PRS. And the reason is that they are alternate interior. Do I now have 2 angles congruent? I have a 70 degree in each one, right? This is 70 and this is 70, and I have a 55. I don't even need to find this missing angle. Go to card B. If it helps you to extend your lines, extend your lines. Because of these markings, we know that this is 70 degrees because it's isosceles. So we can say isosceles. Because these are parallel, where's another alternate interior? At what point? Tell me what angle, raise your hand, would be another alternate interior. Robin. Angle Q and S both have to be 70. Now, if these 2 are 70, what do I know this angle has to be, Ariane? 40, because 70 plus 70 is 140. This is left with, if I'm looking at that one, I am left with 40 degrees. Now, in order to show that these 2 triangles are similar, I need to have either another 70 or another 40. Because these 2 markings are the same, if this is 70, what do I have left for these 2 angles to add up to equal? 180 minus 70, Natalie, gives us?
110.
110. So these 2 angles right here have to total to 110. How many degrees do they both have to be? 55. Are these 2 triangles going to be similar? No. I have the only angle that's the same is the 70. So are the 2 triangles similar? No. Why? 1 angle congruent. So that's why B went here. please go to card C. I want you, as you're looking at card C, so I'm going to give you 3 of these that we will have done together if you wrote them down. You need to do the other 6, right? So I had some people look at C and said, oh, alternate interior, the 70 degree, what would that be alternate interior with? Did you have one? Okay, thank you. Thank you. So if we look at this one, would 70 be alternate interior? Like this line? Is it with Q?
Yeah.
They have to be on the same line, don't they? To be alternate interior, like 55 and 55. These aren't exactly, like this is here and here. Is that the case here? This isn't, this line, it's not over here, right? Which ones are alternate interior? Right here? T and P. Do we have any idea how much they are? No, we just know they're the same measure, right? This is the same and this one's the same. We don't know what they are. Is there any way to determine any other angle measures on these as you look at it? So that's why this one falls into the cannot be determined, because you know that angle P is congruent to angle T because they're alternate interior, and that's all you know. And you can't determine, like someone said, but what are these marks? This mark just tells us that this is the same length as this. From P to R is the same as from S to T. That doesn't help us find any other angle measures, right? Doesn't help us find anything. So what you are going to do, you want to make sure as you finish the rest of these, D, E, F, G, and H, that you refer to those different types of angles. In period 3, we went through in our notes, and I had them write down, oh, corresponding. In this picture, that's like 1 and 5, 4 and 8. Those will always be congruent. Alternate interior, 4, 6, 3, 5. Alternate exterior. There's not many alternate exterior, right? They're almost always in between those 2 parallel lines. So when you extend these parallel lines, someone said when they were looking at this picture, they just said, you know what, that looks like 45, so this must be 45. You don't know that. The only thing you know is that you have this transversal and your parallel lines go like this. And the only thing you have to tell me is, are the angles congruent? And if you have 2 angles congruent, then you can say they are similar. I had people not finish this over here. And some people just did a couple of them, but that's for this picture. So you want to finish this also. This needs to be turned in with you and your partner. You're going to put, like I said, your 2 papers, and you're going to staple the packet right behind it. You're going to turn that in at the end of the period. There was quite a few of you that didn't turn in 17. So make sure, if you didn't turn in 17, that I get your 17. And then on the top of worksheet 18, this is due, this class, we are probably getting back from the Red Hawks game by this time, okay? So tomorrow we go to the Red Hawks. We leave during period 2, all of period 3, 4. It might be a 2-hour game, just like today it sprinkled a little, it could rain a little tomorrow also. If the game ends quicker, like if it ends at 1 o'clock, we're back there. Like we walk back. We don't just hang out at Newman Outdoor Field till 2 or 2:30. We come back. So if we get back before period 7, which most likely we will, or even if we get back during period 7, if we get back during period 7, I'm going to have you bring your device and we're just going to do either Quizlet Live or we're going to do that Dreambox, okay? I want you to look at 18 worksheet. On the top, I need each of you to write your 2 questions that you want to survey. So when you turn this in, and you're not turning this in until Wednesday, even if we get back tomorrow, if you have 18 done, that's great. I won't have you turn in the worksheet 18 till Wednesday, okay? 2 questions that you want to survey your classmates on that is a yes, no answer. So when you ask a question like,
What's your favorite kind of pizza?
that's not yes, no.
Oh.
So that's a question you might want to survey, but it has to be a yes, no. So you could ask, are you left-handed, right? Don't use that question. You got to come up with your own now. right? So if you ask, are you left-handed, it's going to be a yes/no answer. Are you right-handed? Yes, no, right? All right, looking at worksheet 18, are there any questions I could answer on how to tell if two triangles are similar? And my hint is, the only way you can use yes is if you have two angles congruent. And I will answer any. So as you look at these, are there any on worksheet 18 that you just go, I don't get it. I don't get how to find it. Someone said, what if I show 3 angles? That's fine, you only have to show 2. Kennedy or Deb? Which one? Question.
What one? It only gives you
Number 1. Okay, so number 1, the first thing is, what do we know about these arrows? Parallel lines. Extend those parallel lines. Because with parallel lines, we have corresponding, we have alternate interior, we have alternate exterior. So at this point, we only know that you have 2 right angles, right? So those 2 are congruent. With parallel lines, and again, I might even highlight my transversal now when I'm looking at it. So if I look at my transversal on here, my transversal is this line between those 2 parallels. Do you see alternate interior, alternate exterior corresponding with those 2? And if I'm using these 2 lines, anyone see with these 2 parallel lines one of those special kinds? Debbie, you see something? Corresponding. Which angles are corresponding?
angle B and angle A.
Angle B is going to be congruent to angle A because it is corresponding. The other thing we know is that angle, and when I say angle B, you actually mean angle CBE, right? Because if we say angle B, this is angle B too, and this is angle B. So this angle CBE is congruent to angle A because of corresponding angles. The other thing we know is that angle ABD is congruent to angle C because they're both right angles. So the question is, are the 2 triangles similar? Yes.
Couldn't you just say
Similar.
Couldn't you just say angle B and angle C are?
Okay, but at B, do you see that there's more than one angle there, Kennedy? That's what I'm talking about. There's this angle at B, there's this angle at B, and there's this angle at B, right? So I have to, when there's more than one angle, I have to say CBE or ABD. Whereas at A and C, I can use one letter. Okay, I could use BAD, but it's easier to just write A. So in this one, I'm going to say yes, similar. This is my explain how, right? Because I showed I had 2 angles that were congruent. If you cannot explain why, like putting the corresponding or the right angles or alternate interior, I've had people use vertical. If you can't say that, then you can't say they're similar. So on the test, when we take our test on this, the yes, similar, that's a point. The explain why, that's like 4 points. Okay? So if you get used to doing this now, it's just going to make our test, which is Thursday, so much easier for you. Okay? Test is Thursday. So, any other questions?